everyone, are you ready for another edition of Spooky Tales From Afar? I still can't resist, y'all. I just have so much fun doing that. And I know Halloween is over. Halloween's been over for a little over a week now. However, I still want to wrap up this trilogy of Spooky Tales From Afar with one more story that I want to share with you all today. But before we get into that, if you are joining me for the first time, this is the All Around Adventure Podcast, the show where you hear amazing tales from afar and get the all-important life lessons that go along with them. Typically, I have a guest show that I do where I interview so many amazing travelers, and I have this show, my solo show, that I call Travel Reflections, which is exactly how it sounds. I just share some of my travel stories with you all and extract some life lessons. However, for this Halloween season that we just wrapped up here, I was doing something a little bit different. I've just been sharing some spooky tales from my adventures, and I got one more spooky adventure that I want to share with you all today. So I want to go ahead and jump right on into this because I really want to share this story, and let's go ahead and kick this off. Now, this story takes place when I was in the Marine Corps. I was enlisted in the Marine Corps from 2004 up to 2008. And this story took place in, I want to say circa 2006 and maybe early 2007, somewhere around there. I clearly did not prepare to share the timeline as to when this all occurred. However, timeline isn't quite entirely important. I'm in the ballpark. I was in the Marine Corps, and I think that works. So here we go. So I was with a good friend of mine, and he and we heard of this legend in North Carolina where we were stationed. And there's a town called Bear Creek, kind of in the central part of the state. And the legend that we caught wind of was this place where there is this barren circle in this clearing in the forest. Supposedly, it's nothing really grows within the circle. Objects that are left there are usually not there in the morning. Dogs, other animals get really antsy when they come near this place. And this place was known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. And the local lore behind it is that the devil would pace around this circle at night to plot evil onto the world. Now, needless to say, this intrigued my friend and I. And we kind of really wanted to see what this place was all about. And, just have a little bit of fun, I suppose. And he was kind of into the whole paranormal spooky stuff, just like how I am. And so we just decided to go spend a weekend, drive on out there, and let's just see what we can find. And so we hopped in the car. We made the drive. It was about 2 hours to get to Bear Creek from where we were stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina, right near around Camp Lejeune and Marine Corps Air Station New River. And so we got there, and at first we had a little bit of a hard time finding a place. Now, mind you, with this being in the early 2000s, these convenient technologies like GPSs and things like that weren't readily available to us. So we had to rely on old school road maps to actually get us there, and a little bit of intel that we had jotted down in notebooks from the internet because we didn't have the internet in our pockets. So, but eventually we were able to find this place, and it was interesting to say the least. At first it seemed a little bit lackluster. We were there. It was, nighttime, of course. Heard some noise in the woods, which we easily could have been just some sort of scientific explanation as to what caused the noise. Some animals scurrying about, something like that, perhaps. But we left the site for a bit, and we found a place to park the car to get a little bit of sleep. Because, we didn't rent out a hotel or anything like that. And, of course, we had 2 hours of a drive that would have taken us back to Jacksonville. So we just decided just to park the car and get a little bit of sleep. But then before the sun came up, we decided to take one little exploratory, look at the Devil's Tramping Ground. Now, my friend, he went to one side of the circle, and I was on the other side, the side that was actually closest to the road. This circle wasn't too far off the road, actually. And it was actually, and the name of the road was actually Devil's Tramping Ground Road. So I guess the local lore was fitting into, the names of the naming convention of the town and things like that. But I start walking towards him, and I walk through the circle. And I guess just as a little bit of a prank, whatever my friend was thinking, he snaps my picture really quick using a digital camera. And then he freaks out. He just says, "Holy crap," just after he takes the photo. And it turns out the photo that appeared in the viewfinder on the back of the camera was much different than the photo that he saw when he first initially snapped the photo. And then when I went over there to see what it was that he was looking at, he pulled up the picture, and the picture showed me walking through the circle, completely shrouded by this smoky hue, something that was there. Something that we really couldn't explain. It was a little bit cool. You could see our breath just a little bit, but this certainly could not have been just my friend just breathing near the lens of the camera. This was really, really dense. It was like smoke. And upon closer look of this smoke buildup, or I guess whatever we wanted to call it, that we saw in the viewfinder, it kind of started to shape. It had a similar shape to that of a skull, is what we saw. And it also seemed like it was all being condensed to form like start forming like a small figure kind of towards the bottom, towards the ground. And this definitely really freaked us out. And we were looking at the circle with our own plain eyes to see if we could see anything manifesting like what we saw in the photo. And we didn't see anything. So we tried to replicate this experiment, seeing if anything, might have turned up. So I had my friend walk in the same direction that I had when I went through the circle. I took his photo. Nothing came up. And I thought I'd give it another try just to see maybe I could get it to appear again. I was reluctant to do so because whatever it was, I did not want to see that again. But we gave it a try. He took my photo as I was walking the same path that I had walked before. Nothing. It really makes me wonder, though, what was it? What was it that appeared in that photo? And why did it only appear that one time and not any of the other times? Was it something that was trying to get close to me? Just what was it? And, to this day, I'm not quite entirely sure. It certainly scared me. And it certainly made the drive home, made me feel a little bit uneasy. But who knows exactly what it was. We even sent the photos to a local paranormal investigative team. They really couldn't quite explain it too much either. Of course, they tried using the regular, scientific route, trying to find a scientific explanation. But the explanation that they told us was that it could have possibly been just our breath. And, again, I don't really think that was the case considering what was happening on the ground. My friend was holding the camera well away from him. This is a digital camera that he didn't have to look through the eyepiece to actually see anything. He held it far away from his face. And so I'm not sure. I don't think it meets any of the scientific explanations that this paranormal group tried to share with us. So this place is called the Devil's Tramping Ground. And the way the legend goes is that the devil paces that area each night to try to plot evil on the earth. And what if we just caught him as he was just starting to show up? Who knows? Maybe an explanation will come later on. I don't know. But that's my story. That's what happened at the Devil's Tramping Ground that night all those years ago. Hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this Halloween season of Spooky Tales From Afar. If you like what you heard today, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. I got some fantastic guest episodes coming up, as well as some great travel reflections, talking about some other topics. Now that we're through Halloween, I hate to let it go, but I got some other cool things that I want to share with you all too coming up, so make sure you're subscribed. You can also support the podcast. Head over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating and review. That'll get us trending higher so that way more people can find this podcast and get some value from it as well. We also have a private Facebook group called Travel Titans. If you think you'd like to join us, it's a group that is created to share our travel tips and advice and inspiration, and also talk a little bit about self-development. And you can find us at facebook.com/groups/Travel Titans. Lastly, I just want to thank you for being here today. It really means a lot to have you tuning in just to hear what I had to say, and I greatly appreciate it, and I certainly don't take it for granted. And that's all I have to say for now. And I'll be back next Monday with a brand new guest episode, so be sure to check back in. But until then, I'm Josh Guerrero saying be safe, happy travels, and always move forward.